Hello and welcome to another episode of Dela's Voice. Today I have a very special guest, Robert J. Moore. Robert is a multiple-time best-selling author. He is a Guinness World Record Holder. He is a coach. He is the magnetic entrepreneur himself. He is my coach and my friend. And I'm so honored that I have the opportunity to bring him on Dela's Voice once again to interview him a little deeper this time, get into his past and how he started from zero and how he got to this place in his life, from zero to hero. So, ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to bring on Dela's Voice, Robert J. Moore. 1 second till I bring him on. Hey, Robert.
How are you?
Excellent. Excellent. So excited to have you here, my friend. Thank you.
Not as excited as I am to be here.
Oh, that's nice. I'm so glad that you accepted to be on here again. We spoke a few months ago. It just seems like such a long time ago. And this time around, I'm just so honored because I've gotten to know you, I've gotten to work with you, and I've gotten to see what a wonderful person you are. And so thank you for being here.
No worries. Like I said, it's an honor to be here. I'm privileged.
Thank you. So we're streaming live on Facebook. We're streaming live on YouTube. And I want to welcome everyone watching us at this moment. Please sit tight. This is going to be an inspirational talk, and share with your friends because they're going to gain a lot from this talk. And please let us know if you have any comments or questions for Robert. We'll pick his brain today.
I'm my game. It's good to go.
Thank you. Robert, let's talk a little bit about the Magnetic Entrepreneur today, your company, where it stands. How do you help people today?
Well, I love upbranding people, upbranding their businesses, upbranding them to see their potential. It's all about what I could do to help the person out in order to enhance them, get off resistance, get off the fact that, negative thinking that, I can't do this, you can do this, you can do that, but how come I can't do this? Well, anybody can, right? It's just a matter of your thought process. So, I went through a lot of different education to actually be here, and not just education in school, though. I'm talking education is I studied 52 of the top achievers in the world in order to be here. And I've become friends with a good portion of them because the other ones you can't because they're deceased.
You could try.
You know what? When I die, I get to know them quite well and shake their hand and be thankful. I'm sure there won't be no virus up there that we won't have to worry. We can shake our hand now. It's all about the elbow right now.
So what are some of those names? Some of the people that you have studied and you have, you have used their example in your life. You've learned from. Who are they? Well,
before I tell you that, I'm going to tell you some of the people I've been on stage with, and that will bring out the same names.
Okay.
Like Jack Canfield, Bob Proctor, Raymond Aaron, Les Brown, the Ziegler family. That's just to name a few off. And there's huge people that I've shared stages with that I've actually studied all of them in order to be on that stage. And the thing is, I'm not going to their stages. They're actually coming to my stages. That's the difference in the key in things. When you got like Kyle Wilson, Jim Rohn's ex-business partner, he actually spoke on my stage a couple of weeks ago. And he was honored. He goes, Robert, I'm honored for you even asking me. He says, and he coached me for 6 months. He coached me for 6 months, and he says, this is an honor to actually be on your stage. He goes, to know that I influenced you that much, right? And he's got 3-4 coaches himself. And this is the guy that just not only he coached and been with Jim Rohn, he actually, like Rob Sharma, all these big names that you can name. He's actually been around, hung around, and coached. the guy from Def Leppard, right? I mean, he's coached these people. He wasn't even into Def Leppard, the music. He just wanted to coach the person behind the scenes. But you got to like their music while going on, because I guess once you hear it enough, it grows on you. I like Def Leppard personally, so.
So I don't know that
That's okay.
Yeah, so
That's okay.
You have to remember, I was in my late teens when I came to Canada, so I didn't really have the same type of music listening up as.
We forgive you. It's okay.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
We forgive you.
Okay, so you were saying, so you spoke with all these wonderful people on stage, and then there's those people who have gone on and they have left legacies. And it's so important to leave a legacy. Like, what is the legacy you want to leave behind, Robert J. Moore? I mean, I hope you live for until you're 150 years old. But
you might be pushing it. I mean, but that's okay. I mean, I don't mind you pushing it, but it's a good thought.
You're healthy. Who cares?
If I feel 10 times worse than I feel at certain times when I hurt myself at 150, I think I'll stick to around 90 or 100.
So what would you leave for a legacy? What do you want people to remember Robert J. Moore?
One of the biggest things I want people to understand is that they too can do it. If I can do it, you can do it. I upbrand people. I don't just sit there and do things in the box. I go way out of the box and do things. Right behind me, there's a award ceremony I've got behind me that you'll see actually the award right there.
Well, you're blocking that handsome man's picture.
He don't need to be seen today. He don't need to be seen. Whoop. But here's the thing. I became the first in Canadian history to ever host that event, especially with the gala. I put the gala on there. It was an award ceremony, Magnetic Entrepreneur Award Ceremony. I did that. It was a knockout of the park. I've done things online, done summits online that I've done first in history. I was the first in history to ever put 3,000 people online, but not only that sense, but I did it in, I can't remember how many people I had. I think it was like 10 or something like that. I had translating it into different countries at the exact same time as actually it was going on.
That was really.
And I also interviewed 3 of the top achievers in the world on that summit. So, I mean, the 3 people was Jack Canfield. I interviewed him on the second day. Satish Verma, he was the CEO of Think and Grow Rich. I interviewed him. And Kyle Wilson, I interviewed him, Jim Rohn's ex-business partner of 18 years. It was an honor to actually be there, honor to actually feel, a part of something again. I mean, these are people I could just call up at regular times, and it's nice. It's nice to be able to do that. But you have to build yourself to a platform at that level. You
get a kick out of building people up.
I think it's fun. I want to see people pass me. That's what I want. I want to see you personally, anybody that works with me. I want to see how far you can do it. But you have to have the foundation. You got to have the proper structure. And I teach people all the business aspects to be there, right? I don't care if you're just beginning. I don't care if you're just sitting there saying, well, I'm already a billionaire. I don't care. There's obviously something going on with your business that you're obviously lacking. And I've been through 52 of the top achievers, and they gutted my business out. They gutted it out. They gutted it and said, do this, do this, do this. You don't know how many times I wanted to quit. Mm-hmm. How many times I just wanted to say, you know what? F this. I can't do this. And you know what? That was the growth. Because when you're feeling that uncomfortable pain, you're feeling that uncomfortable emotions, that's part of growth.
It sure is. And growth, I mean, we're always growing every day in our lives. And that's part of what you teach is to be coachable. And what does that mean exactly, Robert?
Well, be coachable is there's 2 different ways to put it. You can put it very bluntly, or you can put it very simple.
Bluntly, let's do bluntly, and then we'll do it.
Bluntly is shut your mouth and sit down and put your ears where they're supposed to be. Mm-hmm. You got 2 ears, 1 mouth, and use it wisely, straight out. That's being coachable and accept it. Mm-hmm. The other way, not so bluntly, would be the fact of, you know what? Where do you want to be? What's your why? I mean, you got to look at the situation. Obviously, you're coming to a coach for a reason. Why wouldn't you pay attention to that coach and sit there and say, okay, well, there's obviously attraction there for some reason. That person has made it. That person's made, they might not have made it as far as you want to go, but that person's made that hump to get to that level they're at. And obviously you're looking at them. So why wouldn't you just sit back and digest what's going on and put your ego and everything at the door? Because I'll be honest with you, that gets in the way. Your emotions will destroy your intelligence. A lot of times, a lot of people get emotions, say, all right, well, I've been on 2 stages now. I'm sorry, man, I don't need a coach no more, man. I'm doing really well. I got these people calling me up. I got this person calling me, that person calling me. Sure, but who are they? Who are those people? Are they mean anything? Are they up at that level? Are they people that are going to work well with you and bring you up to the new level? Never give up on your coach. Never let your coach go. So the blunt, like I said, the blunt way is just you got 2 ears, 1 mouth. It's very simple.
No, I get it. I get it. You're right. And a lot of people, yes, they think they want to coach, but then they start working with a coach, and then you get into that arrogance of, I already know, I'm already doing this, right? You don't tell me what to do. And so you're right. Being coachable means like saying my cup is empty, fill it up, like keep filling it up with knowledge, with information.
Look at this cup right here, okay? You can see the lines like right here.
Mm-hmm.
Is that half full or half empty?
I mean, you can look at it both ways.
That's right. There's no in between.
No.
There's no in between. I mean, the fact of when you get in that complacency and think that you're better than your own coach, there's something wrong, because, I mean, you're obviously not paying attention. You're obviously putting things in your own hands, and you're being very, very ignorant to what's going on, because I've had so many people come up to me, oh, Robert, don't worry, man. I got this now. I don't need you anymore. That's fine. I'll let you fall flat, right? And if you don't, I'm honored to sit there and watch you grow, right? There's no hard feelings. But the thing is, at the same time, is I want to see you grow in a proper manner. I don't want to see you grow with I'm going to put this very blunt, the bullshit scams out there. There's too many people scamming people to tell them, oh, you'll get to the top with this. You just do this, do that. You get to the top. Just pay me some money. You'll get there. You pay the money, and it's like you don't get nowhere. You know what I mean? The thing is, I got things structured that some of the top people in the world, if you Google Robert J. Moore or Magnetic Entrepreneur Inc., you're going to see I've been endorsed by several people that are people from the movie The Secret, right? Some heavy ass people, some very serious people that I was just online the other day with John Chin. Sir John Chin, pardon me. I'm going to call him Sir John Chin out of respect. Because I'll tell you right now, this is a guy, is the executive producer of Think and Grow Rich Legacy movie. Him and I were talking like this, and we were just laughing, having a great time. Like we're best friends forever. He's so simple to talk to. The guy's so down to earth. And so are these other people. Bob Proctor, he's down to earth too. He's just like a regular person. So the people keep putting, I did it myself, put people on pedestals. Oh, it's just because we get seen a lot more in the media. That's all it is. And we get seen for the traction we do and the results that we have that come out. So I have a lot of results. I've helped over 140,000 different people. But the thing is, before we get all that going, where did I come from? Think about it. Where did I come from? Too many people see everything online. Too many people see social media. All the different aspects of my social media, they say, oh, this guy's doing really, really well. Must be a millionaire, must be this, must be that. You know, he's well connected. Now, I want you guys to know something. I'm going to tell you a little something. I want you all just to sit down for a second and close your eyes. Close your eyes. You too, Dela. Close your eyes. I want you to paint an image of me. All right? Just paint an image of not knowing all that fresh, good stuff that I just told you. I want you guys to listen to this and paint the story yourself, the picture on its own. When I was growing up, I was really, really rich. All right. We had a skate rink in the backyard. I was always on vacation. I always had a driver to drive me around. Now, all of that is true, but I want you to think about that for a second. How does that make you feel inside? Some of the people I've heard in the audience say before, they couldn't afford a pair of shoes for the kid for Christmas. And here I'm up on stage bragging about how rich I am. Now open your eyes and think about the picture that you thought of, right? There's a lot of negativity when people think of that because it's jealousy. Now let me tell you the truth on everything that was there. Everything I said was true. It's just you painted the picture. there was a skating rink in our backyard. My dad worked for the city of Mississauga in Canada, and right behind us was our school. So it just so happened we never had a fence in between at that time, so you put the skating rink right there. It was just in our backyard, right? I mean, we owned it. It was in the backyard by the school. Now, we were really, really rich, not with money. My dad worked 3 jobs to put food and clothing on our backs. In and out of jail. I was in and out of jail for 16 years. That's my vacation. Right? I don't think it's much of a vacation, but I had to say it in such a way that you would understand it. The person driving me back and forth that I said was the bailiff. Back and forth to court. So when you judge someone online, you look at their stuff online, I want you to really get to know the person behind the scenes. All right? Because this leads into now, where did I come from to be where I'm at today? Right?
Amazing. Okay, I want to come back to this. Okay, just give me a second to catch my breath, Robert. I want to say hi to some people who are watching us. So, and there's so Robert Brooker, he's actually left us a few comments. I brought one up on the picture. I'm going to go over it. Shirley is also watching us. Thank you, everybody who's watching today. Robert says, it was the first time I was on that stage with my story messed up by an unexpected wife removal. But as I was eating adversity for breakfast with gratitude for some time, it really did thicken the skin, giving me the option to consider my response to that departure. First of all, wow, Robert, that's penmanship. Thank you. Any reply to Robert? Robert?
You know, I've gotten to know him over the years, and I've had him on my stage. He did the 5-minute challenge before, and he did exceptionally well, actually. He held his posture and everything really well, considering what he was going through at the time. And he just did his thing, man. He went up there and he rocked the house. And simply put, I mean, he didn't come in the top 3, but I mean, there was 10 people up there. You know, there were some pretty serious people up there. And one girl that never spoke in her life, she actually won. She's never been on stage in her life. She actually won. It was just the way she told the story that affected the audience. See, the thing is, that's one thing we need to know is no matter what story you have, you know how to tell it to affect the audience. Mm-hmm. That's another thing I teach, right, as we go. So, I mean, I do, as you see behind me, I do a lot of books too, right? I do penmanship with books, and I'm the publisher of it, Magnetic Entrepreneur. And I make sure that people get the story out there in a different fashion, become international bestsellers.
Well, Robert, that's what you do. That you build people up like that. I mean, I know for a fact so many people have been touched by you, branding them and putting them in best-selling books, and all of a sudden, a person who's never written in their life becomes a best-selling author. I mean, I know my name is on one of those books coming out, and I'm just ecstatic, and I want to thank you for that. But what inspires people the most is that to know that someone could start from a humble beginning and make it to this point of their life. And so can we go back and revisit your past and just so
that one comment right there would be very appropriate to put up first. The person that wrote this is my biological mother.
Let me put that there.
Yeah.
Shirley. Okay. Let's see.
That would be very appropriate.
Robert put the family through pure hell for years until finally getting to where he is now, which is a major turnaround. This is Mama talking now. She's seen all of this, right? She's seen all of this. How wonderful! First of all, I'm a mom myself, Robert, and I can certainly appreciate this. That in the picture is your brother.
Yeah, my brother, bless his soul. That was at the Guinness World Record attempt. As we see, you got the plaque right here. That was at the Guinness World Record attempt where 11 days afterwards he died.
But having him there meant a great deal to you, didn't it?
This guy used to hang with me when I was putting the family through hell. He was my sidekick, my best friend. I mean, everything that we were doing it together. I had to basically raise him on the streets to teach him how to do things, and evidently it was kind of the wrong things to teach him at the time. But we were survival. Right? We were surviving. For him to see me on stage, he could not believe his eyes. He says, "Oh my God, get back on stage." He goes, "Don't get off stage, get back up there." I said,
You look good.
I got a speaker going up there. I got a speaker going up there next. I can't get up there right now. I said, "It's structured." He goes, "Well, when you get back up there, you make sure you come get me." I said, "I'm not going to look around the house for you." Right. And he goes, "Don't worry, I'll know. I'll get someone else to get me," because he likes to wander around, talk to people, right? As soon as I get up on stage, he sat right down. He watched me. He says, "Man, I can't believe how well you're doing." He's so used to me doing the wrong that when he got to see me doing something so privileged, I would say like this, and he says, "You're running the whole show, man." He says, "I can't believe this." So it was just so beautiful to see that he would actually look at me in that manner. And I think that's really, really what he wanted to see, and to change his thoughts on different things. Fortunately, massive heart attack took advantage of him 11 days later, and away he went.
Sorry to hear that. I'm sure you gave him so much joy. I can just imagine how proud he must have been to be there watching you up.
He must have lost about 5 pounds running around being so proud. I'll tell you, man. He was running around like bragging about me, talking to people. It was unbelievable.
Amazing. Now, I mean, Shirley is on here. Sometimes people can be in a dire situation like that with family members, and we feel so hopeless, and we feel so desperate, and we feel like there's no light at the end of the tunnel. We can never imagine that years later this will happen, right? Magic, like this will happen. Something so beautiful will come out. What do you got? A message to the family of people who are struggling?
Well, it depends what you mean by struggling. I mean, they're struggling because I was with drugs and alcohol. I mean, it depends what you mean by struggling. I was a therapist for 14 years. Let's go right into the story first of the beginning.
Let's do it. I just want to take a moment, Robert. I see all these people watching, obviously, on Facebook, but
I don't see them all.
No, it's just like it's not coming up on my Facebook page, and I want to make sure that I want to say hi to everybody who's watching. So you don't see it on your Facebook page.
Well, I'm going to go on Facebook right now and check it out.
So let's do that, because I don't want to miss people here. Oh, there it is. There it is. Cool.
Who do you see?
Okay, so who do I see? I see Robert, of course, and I see Shirley. I see Shazad. Make yourselves known, like put in the chat box who you are. Just put your name in the comment box and let us know you're watching, so that we can mention your name and say hi to you.
Don't be hiding on us.
Shazad says hi. Hello, my dear. Robert says, I am grateful I was able to get that initial connect, resulting in the kind of laugh that results from good humor, mine in that case. So that was Robert's comment on what you said. He also says that he enjoys writing. Well, yeah, it shows. It shows. Okay, my dear, I'm ready to dive into your story, because I think everybody should hear.
Well, at an early age, it was really devastating, because I didn't feel like fit in where the family I was at. It was really devastating, because I think it was like 12 years old at the time. My dad walks in the room with my stepmom at the time, and I thought she was my biological mom, and I didn't know any difference at 12 years old. So then I got told she was my she was my stepmom, and it was almost like it was devastating. It took me back. I don't know what happened there. It literally just kicked me in the shorts, right? It just kicked me in the shorts. It was like it took my breath away. It just made me feel uncomfortable. It's hard to feel when you're 12 years old. You really can't identify those emotions, right? So I lashed out in a way, the only way I could think of, because my dad, he'd ask me to bring beers up, and it was old Stubbies. Stubbies back then. It was a 50, Labatt's 50, and OV. They're both Stubbies. My dad would ask me to go downstairs, get a few beers, and I'd go downstairs, get a few beers, but I'd guzzle one down on the way up. I'll let this big belch out afterwards, and I felt, well, hey, this feels pretty good, man. Anybody knows a few beers. You get a few beers and you become invincible all of a sudden, you think at least. So I come up, bring them all the beers. I asked for the change, hey, listen, how about your tip? They'd actually all give me tips, and they thought it was a joke. To me, it was because I wanted to go get a pack of smokes. I was smoking back there at 13 years old, right? So I wanted to go buy a pack of smokes. I always had the guy down the street actually go in and buy them for me. I think they were cheap. They're 15 packs back then, right? So it was kind of neat because the idea of covering myself up with the alcohol and drugs back then, I didn't get into the drugs till the mother of my children died in my hands when she died giving birth on July 20th, 1992. I'll never forget that day.
Wow.
It was a day that I'll never forget because the pulmonary emboli, which is a blood clot in the heart brain, epileptic seizure at the same time, took her life. It was her time to go to heaven and whatever it may be. At that time, I was already an alcoholic. I didn't know what to do, so I just drank more, and that's how I crushed my emotions. I suppressed them. So I ended up being a trademark for a gang. Kind of do the things we need you to do. You go to jail for it, we'll protect you. So I was the trademark for it. I mean, I was the kind of person whatever. I was getting all the things I needed. I was getting all the money I needed, all the booze, all the drugs, the place to stay, whatever it may be. Right? Well, that could only last for so long, too. I mean, you get kind of bored when you have to go in for years on end and do jail time for other people. I mean, you got to do all this stupid stuff. I mean, I did armed robberies. It was a lot of fights. Got into a lot of fights. A lot of people disrespected women. I'd backhand them. They'd get charged for it. I mean, I teach them a lesson. I mean, you don't disrespect the women that way. I mean, I was always taught that. I mean, you treat them very, very well. And my dad always told me, he said, you treat a woman wrong. He said, I'm coming after you. Mm-hmm. My dad was always a loving, caring guy, but you don't want to mess with him. I seen him on skates when he was, Toronto Marlies. He was playing for the Toronto Marlies back then. And he'd be a fighter. I was always had that fear of my dad coming at me. Short little fella, right? But then he got to see the people I was hanging with, and they were his friends. I didn't know that. And these are people that are bikers. It was really scary. I won't say who they were, what anything else, but I'm just going to say it wasn't an area I really fit in. It wasn't me. I was trying to find me. It was called the search. In anybody's story, you look for the search. You look for the person behind there. So it really didn't find me until I was 31 years old. That's when I finished doing like 7 years on the streets. I don't mean sleeping on someone's couches. I mean sleeping on the streets. I'd go inside of a building. And I'd steal, it didn't matter if the shirts fit or not. I'd put them on, the sweaters, and I'd bury myself with snow just to keep warm. And then I'd get up in the morning, slough off, take the sweater off that didn't fit. It was 2 sizes too small, but it kept me warm all night. So I'd take that off and I'd go right into the beer store. Get myself another, couple more wobbly pops, I called them. And off I go again. But I would always be dressed nice. Nobody would ever know I was living on the streets. I go to the GO station. I'd kind of do a little shower in the sink there. I changed my clothes. I had them hidden in a tree, so nobody actually seen it. It was actually pretty cool back then, but I don't know how I ever lived like that, to be honest with you. When I'm looking back at it, it was all about survival. It was all about being a con artist. It was all about what can I do to survive today. It didn't matter what I did. I broke into pop machines. I made thousands and thousands and thousands. My mother right here, she's telling you, yeah, armed robbery, yes. The detectives at my door within a few days. My brother's passing. Put it this way, my brother Tom passed away. They came to the door. All right, they came to the door, talking to her about that. It wasn't a day or so away. Next to come in the door because my brother Kevin, the one that just died, he escaped from jail. So now he had the rope squad coming for him, knocking at her door. And now they're coming to look for me because of armed robbery. Right? It was.
Whoa, Shirley. Shirley. What a life. Wow. I
So
can't
needless to
imagine.
say, I didn't find who I was until age 31.
Mm-hmm.
31, I got tired of going into detox all these times, all these years in a row. I'll go in there for 7 days at a time. And this all this stuff here, I never tell this stuff ever because it just I focus on the passion of how to make through things, right? And how to work things through.
But this
When I
is
was
important, Robert. This
when I
this part
was
is really
when I
important.
was going through that emotion, all right, it was like I felt lonely. I was very insecure about everything. I felt nobody wanted me around because I was so angry. I had a case of beer. The last day I remember drinking, I had a case of beer. I was sitting on it. I had a big bag of cigarette butts off the ground. I was actually rolling them. And I was actually rolling them. I think it was Bible paper I was rolling them with. I had nothing else to roll them with. I could afford the beer, but I couldn't afford the cigarettes or the rolling papers. So I would just roll them up and smoke them. I'd be great. And I'd nobody around to talk to. So basically, I talked to myself. I think I was talking to God at that time. And I said, if there is a God, why would you put me in this position where I'm at today? Why would I be so low that I don't have nobody around me? I don't have a place to live. And I started getting depressed and depressed and depressed. All of a sudden, it was like epiphany. It was like a weird epiphany, man. It was like, you know what, that I can get into detox and do better. I don't know what came over me. I gave the case of beer to another people I saw in the bush. I said, here, guys, I'm finished. I guzzled one more down just to make sure. Just to make sure. It was weird. It was really weird. I was like, just to make sure, because you never know, right? So it went from there, and I left. I'm on a bus to go to the detox. Well, they want me to go into the hospital because when I come off the booze, I come off. The tremors were really, really bad, and you could die from the tremors, right? So I mean, you want to make sure that you're going to a hospital before that hand. Now, here's the thing. They put me on Valium to guide me down. Okay. I stayed in the detox for a week, and then they finally got to talk to me, and they said, okay, we finally can talk to you. We normally only let people stay in there 72 hours, right?
Yeah.
They usually put me in there for a week and a half because of the way I was. So they said, what makes this different this time that you say you want help? I said, I don't know. I said, I don't know what it is. I said, I'm tired of this life. I said, I'm emotionally hit bottom. They said they want me to express that, emotionally hit bottom. I said, I'm motionless. I'm motionless. I don't know how to react. So he said, here's the way it works. We'll get you a list. You call the detoxes. You call the recovery places, and you see if you can get in. Well, I didn't know anybody up in Aurelia and stuff from my aunt at the time. I was talking to her back then, and I just said, well, I'll call them. It was like the fifth place. All the other places were like 3-4 months wait.
Mm-hmm.
And they said, if we have permission, if you want to sit there and go through that 3-month wait, we will house you here. We will house you here, but we'll have welfare pay for your stay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking welfare. I mean, that's kind of a low bottom kind of thing. I thought at the time, but where else am I going to get money?
Mm-hmm.
So I agreed to that. But when I made the last phone call, the last one on the list that I avoided because I didn't want my aunt to see me the way I was. And meanwhile, I'm the last person to see you the way I was. Everybody else knew. They didn't care. They knew. So I phoned them up and they said to me, Robert, are you able to get from Brantford to Aurelia on Tuesday? I being the big man I am, oh yeah, no problem. I can do this. I can do that.
I'll walk.
Yeah, if I have to, I'll walk. That's basically kind of a joke I said. So I agreed to be there. And then I got off the phone and I told them. They said, "Are you kidding me? That's the hardest place to get into, and they just asked you to come." And they phoned back and said, "Make sure Robert brings his bags." Right. So there was an opening, obviously. When I got there, I went straight in, and I was in. That was it. There was no turning back. They only do a 3-month stay. They kept me for 4.5 months. They had to do an intervention on my anger, intervention on my behavior, intervention on my usage. And it was like 3-4 of them attacking me at once. And me, I was a fighter. But the only reason why I was a fighter is because it was a defense mechanism to let you in. right? So today I'm a lover. I mean, I have no problem. You know, it is what it is. I mean, people mess things people over, and you just got to pray to God to let them hey, keep them safe. You know, let them deal with what they got to do. God's your hands, you deal with it, kind of thing. So I don't get into that mixed match crap. But I got tired of being the way I was. After I was, it's really strange. It's really strange that now I think of it. I was age 13 years old. 31 I quit, so reverse that number.
I know. It's crazy.
You know what I mean? So I'm going on 15 years clean sober. And you know what? In the last 15 years, I put myself through education. I wanted to get my high school diploma. I got that.
Oh, wow. Like so at 31, you go back to school to get your high school diploma.
I was 32 and a half. When
oh, my God.
Yeah.
Okay,
and being in class with people 15 to 20 years junior to your age,
yes.
and then talking about the party they were just on, you just want to either join in with the war stories or I just kind of gringed, and it's like, what do I do, man? So I mean, I was still raw, you know what I mean? Still raw. I still wanted to drink. But how bad, it was a question of how bad did I want to stay? I wanted that drink as bad as I wanted to stay sober, if you know what I mean. So it was equal opportunity for me. It was a 50-50. So I just kept going sober and get my education. Then I went to social service worker diploma. Then I went and got my addictions degree. Then I got my BA in psychology, my master's in counseling psychology, harm reduction, mental health crisis. And I just kept going, and it became an addiction to me. Now, the thing is, I didn't get those credentials. If you see my name down there, it says Robert J. Moore. You don't see behind there my credentials for a reason. I do not do it to brag. I did not do it to sit there and say, look at me, I got more credentials than you. No, I did it because I wanted to find out who I was. When I was going through the schooling system, it was like, man, this is kind of cool. I get to find out my behaviors. I get to study the people that I need to study in order to figure out why I was the way I was. So all the essays, all the thesis, all the different things that I had to do, all the assignments were based on things that I had to struggle with.
Your own experience.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, it takes a lot. Let's say hi to some people who've joined us.
Hi, some people.
we've got Fruzan all the way from Vancouver. Let us know if you're watching and where are you from? Like, where'd you live? This is really cool, actually.
I'm from my father. Don't tell my mother. She's watching right now.
Yes, she is. Wilma is watching. Thank you, Wilma. Where are you? Austin Haynes is watching. I know Austin is in the States.
He's a good man. I like that guy.
So Shirley says, I proudly attended your graduation.
Yeah, she actually did. Of all things in life that I actually got to meet her. I think it was like 14 years old. I was actually fighting with her fiance at the time. He was an auxiliary police officer, and he didn't like the way I was. He'd have booze down there. I'd drink his booze on, and he'd be very hostile towards the way I was because he's used to having the control, right? Being a police officer and that. And him and I got into a few fights. I mean, broken TVs. I mean, you want to watch a TV? Sure, throw the beer ball through it. There you go. I mean, they didn't want me around. I had long hair. I mean, like halfway down my back. Tattoos, earring on this side, and it's like I was LA Cool J or something. and you know what? It took me a while to walk out of that scene, but that's the behavior I was. It was like nobody can F with me. I'm not going to say I didn't lose any fights, but I was a darn good fighter. I mean, I had to protect myself, and many times they pulled me over. I had guns on me, knives on me, whatever it may be, right? And I didn't use them to hurt anybody. I used them for protection in case I got hurt, right? But at that same time, what could really happen when you're drinking? You got extra wobbly pops in your system or drugs in you. What could really happen if something triggered? I mean, you got to remember, you're invincible when you're drinking that, right? At that point in time.
Yeah, extra confidence, right?
I'm going to tell you something. I will never, ever in my life, ever regret my past. I don't like it. I don't like what I've been through, but it's my past. And it brought me to the person I am today. I mean, you got to remember, eating out of garbage cans to building the business I have today, that's worth 1.2. That's not bad. That's actually pretty darn good. It's very comfortable to see. but it's a lot of hard work in between. And people think that overnight success happens. Mine took me 15 years.
Yeah, the overnight success doesn't take overnight, right?
15 years overnight.
My gosh. And so okay, so now we're going back to you've said this story to me before. The time when you were eating from the garbage can, you were looking for food in the garbage can, and this lady said, "Let me buy you dinner."
Actually, yeah, she was actually one of the ladies. I found out later. She was Howard Johnson had a bail program. Now, I wasn't on bail at the time. I was just kind of in and out of the garbage. It was actually her friend that actually put the sandwich in there. Like it was a hamburger or sandwich or something. Can't remember. But I always took the bitten part off. I'd break that part off and I'd eat the rest. Right? I just didn't want their cooties or whatever they call it. I mean, meanwhile, I'm eating out of the garbage can. Is what's worse. You know what I mean?
COVID.
I mean, what's worse? I mean, that's just the way we think back then, right? It's just wild. So you look at the situation, and she see me do that, and then she'd come over and she started talking to me. And the guy she was with, he was sitting there saying, no, that might be not a good idea. And she goes, well, I kind of work in this field, so why not talk to him? Later on, we became good friends. She actually helped me out. She says, come in. I'm not supposed to do this because you're not on bail, but you know what? Come in, let's talk. And then I did go to jail, back to jail again for, I think, another assault or something like that on the guy. And she'd actually bring me art supplies into the jail. And they let her bring it in because of who she worked these days. You can't do that these days, right? But she brought them in, and I would draw. I would draw like crazy. That's what I did to express myself. And she noticed that. So she allowed me to actually have that stuff. And when we did things on the outside, she would always relate to my artwork. Now, she knew I was always using her for a cigarette. I was always using her for a few bucks for a few meals. That I didn't really give two flying Fs to be there because I wasn't really out to help myself. But somehow or another, she put the seed in me that there was generosity out there. Somebody actually cared. Because when I left, I wanted to be that rebel for another month, at least another month. It kept sticking in my head. Why would that lady come up to me and say hi to me? Like, why would she give me the time of day? Nobody else does. So somehow or another drew me back to her. And so I didn't make an appointment. I just kind of walked in there, and just said, I'm here, I'm here for my appointment. And they said, you don't have one. I said, I do now. That's kind of person I was, a bit aggressive, right? So it was hilarious. She come down, don't worry, I'll take care of it. And then she said, you can't come in here like this. Got to make an appointment. I said, well, where do I find a phone? I don't have money for the phone booth, right? I said, this is how I make an appointment. I just come here and do it. Goes, but make an appointment means you actually have to leave and come back, not just demand to see me that day. So we had a long talk. We worked things out. And it's funny because when I started getting clean and sober, my probation officer, who I actually talked to today, like this morning, I could talk to anytime I want, right? This is hilarious because they worked hand in hand together, probation officer and her as a counselor. I didn't know I was her first client ever, right? I did not know I was her first client ever. So now when she goes around telling the stories about, people that were the worst of the worst, she always talks about me. And she says, look, this guy's doing this now. He's doing that now, and it's like, wow, this is pretty. I did not know it until I read an article. I read an article one time and I seen it in there. It was like, you got to be kidding me. I did not know. It was so well experienced. I mean, it seemed like she was doing it forever. And I went in there with, I peppered my language was really peppered. I'm going to say it very lightly that way with a lot of F-bombs, this and that. A lot of slang language and a lot of, don't mess with me attitude. But that grew away from me. And my probation officer even said to me, she goes, why do you want to get away from this lifestyle so early in life? Normally, the lifestyle you're living and the things you're doing, people would be older age. And I wasn't wearing no colors or nothing like that. Don't get me wrong. It was just I was doing things for individuals, right? And I think they thought it was a lot deeper than that, but it was never deeper than that. But there are certain individuals. I was welcome to wherever I wanted to go and do what I had to do. A lot of people feared me because of people I hung around with. But then I stopped hanging around with these people I mean, there was a, you can't just get out.
I was going to ask you, how easy is it to get out once
It's
you're
not.
in?
I mean, the one guy I was actually hanging around with was my best friend for years. Stabbed me with a 12-inch blade. I got 44 staples in my gut. And they left me to die, and this guy ended up dying himself years later. They wanted to throw us both in jail. There's two people that were knifed up that day, and they were blaming me for one. So I was looking at aggravated assault, manslaughter kind of thing. And it was like, wow, this is getting out of hand. You live by the sword, you die by the sword kind of thing. And I didn't like the lifestyle anymore. So I had to get out.
Was there any point in your life back then when you could ever imagine living a different life?
Oh, no, I imagined it all the time. Don't get me wrong. I had the vision to be there. I had the vision, oh, man, I'm going to be here. Felt good to vision it. Then when reality, you open your eyes to reality, you see where you're at again, and it really made you depressed. But, I mean, that's part of daydreaming, right? You sit there and, oh, man, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and you're putting yourself in that position. You're feeling it.
So what were you thinking you were going to do?
I don't know.
What did you...
Back then, who knows? I mean, I had a lot of stories going through my head.
I know, but so you know how we always talk about the power of imagination, the power of visualization. Right now, we are, if so many people talk about, if you want to get there, feel it, imagine it, visualize it.
I did say to myself, I'm going to write my story and get it out there.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the problem is I wrote my story, the very first one, and it was very raw. Very raw. It sounded like a trucker wrote it in French. That's how raw it was. It was raw. It was absolutely raw. There was nothing but F this, F that. And, some of the things that I should never put in there. But, I mean, that was me. That was my thinking back then. Finally, I became a Christian, and they said, we can't accept your book in this church. I said, why not? I didn't even clue in. And then I looked at it, and I said, oh, wait a minute. Yeah.
That's why.
And so I said, there comes my book number 2. Right, so I wrote a book number 2. It was a lot cleaner. I think I had the odd, very few F-bombs in it. Got a little cleaner up. I actually took the first book off the market. The reason why I took the first book off the market, I'm going to tell you something. I wanted to publish it. I couldn't afford a publisher. Right, I couldn't afford a publisher back then. So I actually got a self-publisher, the person that would actually promote me. Something like I do now, but I don't rip people off. I'm going to tell you how this happened. I was working with them, and I finally I found an in somehow. And I'm not going to tell people how I do that because it's my business today, and I don't want people knowing that part of it. They want to know that to come to me.
Yes.
The secret sauce, you're not going to know. So I found an in that got me into all the libraries in Ontario. Well, I did that, and it worked out well. And they were sending me reports on how many they were selling. Now they had to make sure all the reports went to the other people because Amazon sends all the reports to them, right, to the publisher. And I went from there. I was checking it out, reading the emails, and it wasn't adding up to the money they were giving me. So and I even went to the lawyer. The lawyer said, if you become international bestseller, how's it possible that you only got $100 for that month?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right. And the month before, maybe $25, $30, $20. And it was just routine and then they had the audacity or the gall, I'll say, to message me back. Oh, Robert, we gave you $100. We were only supposed to give you $38. And that's when I got fed up and I confronted them. And the lawyer says, the problem is a small company like that, they could easily just claim bankruptcy and open up in a new name tomorrow. Mm-hmm. So I still had the mentality of the past. I said, well, it's only London. I was in Mississauga. I was on probation. And, he had something behind his door. I think it was an umbrella or something. I said, well, I'll just grab this and go visit them. He said, what are you going to do with that? And I said, I'm going to bonk him over the head with it. And he looked at me, reminded me, he goes, do you know I'm a lawyer, right? I said, oh, I never thought of that. So, I mean, it was just that your past creeps up on you. You got to know how to deal with it. right? I mean, certain things will creep up on you, like the old behavior. It's like the devil. The devil's trying to get back into me and it doesn't happen today. I mean, I love God. I mean, I'm a God person. I'm a Christian. I go with the flow. I might do some cussing and swearing. I might get a little angry at times, but that's just it happens.
That's allowed. That's allowed.
Well, my mother-in-law always says that God's going to take care of my tongue one day. She never said exactly when.
Let's say hi to Keel. Hi, thank you for joining us. So there's a couple of comments too here. I want to go over them if you don't mind. But Robert says, I remember that day, September 14, 2014. I didn't start drinking at 4:30 a.m. that day as my brother and I were going to get tattooed. Oh, my brother and I were going to get tattoos, and I didn't want to be half cut there. I was drinking 60 ounces a day of rum on vacation. We did an eating challenge at the casino and then won some money, but I needed help cashing out. I was shaking so badly that I couldn't see the numbers. I had reached a point where I was enjoying life more, and I didn't want to forget about my issues for a few hours. And on your point about not regretting the past, Robert says, I wouldn't go back and change anything to life. A life with no regrets. It's a good thing. Yes. Shirley says, I recall going to Hamilton telling you to pack your belongings. I took care of some business, and you were leaving with me that day, never to return due to your actions, along with all the trouble you were causing there. Wow.
I love life today. It's so simple. I might work 18 hours a day sometimes, might work my butt off. I love empowering people. I love bringing people to a new degree. I partnered up with with a person that's really high end right now. I became high end myself, as people keep telling me. I'm up there with the big dogs. That's what they keep saying. You're up there with the big dogs now. I've been on stage with some of the most fabulous people in the world, some of the most well-respected, world-renowned stages, I'll call it. And you know what? It's fun when you can be at that level and still help people at the level where you began. Because I don't put my arm down to look down at someone. I put my arm down to help them up. Right? I want to bring them up. Like yourself. I mean, coaching you, it's been an honor. It still will be. I mean, you got a long way to go. I don't feel that we're going to stop anytime soon on this. I mean, I've actually proved to myself that I'm capable of doing things, and it's just unbelievable because 2 years ago I fired my entire staff. And people say, why would you do that? Because I wanted to learn the flaws of my business. I got tired of people telling me, oh, we can't do this because of this, can't do this because of that. Well, you know what? I wanted to find out for sure. I'm the kind of guy at Hard Knocks. I mean, I want to find out what's going on with my business. So I ripped it apart. With Armin Morin, top strategist in the world, Eric Thomas, top speaker in the world, Les Brown, and all these people. I stripped it apart with these people that I had coaches with. And I said, okay, what part of this am I working on? How do I do this? How do I do that? How do I do this? They said, well, you have to find your own way, basically. Find where you're comfortable. The marketing, what do you feel comfortable doing? Right? Do you feel like doing email lists? Do you feel like doing this, doing this? I actually accumulate all that information, put it into one to build this business I have today and slowly bring people in again.
Mm-hmm.
And it's working out extremely well. When you have different aspects of your business working really, really well for you, eventually I'm going to put a CEO in my spot so that way I don't have to do the stuff that's right here. The books, I have someone actually taking care of the books. They only go through me for an email and go right to the other person right away. Eventually that person's just going to take over that part of it and I won't have to do it. It'll still run. It'll still go through. You'll still have all the celebrities, all the same status and everything, all the rewards and everything that you're going to have. But I'm going to be doing some higher end stuff. Like, for instance, Celebrity You. which stands for Celebrity University, right? It's something I've accumulated with another person. That person's Lori A. McNeil. She's McNeil Enterprise International. I mean Enterprise. Why do you get Enterprise from the truck? That's probably because I just moved and I didn't use no Enterprise though.
I'm gonna bring you back, Robert. Lori McNeil.
International. She actually also speaks Think and Grow Rich tour. So she was one of the speakers on Think and Grow Rich.
Yes.
Yeah, so I mean, her and I just when we connected months and months ago, it was like we just had that bond. You know what I mean? That business bond, nothing more than that, just business bond. And we just know how to think outside the box, and we do a lot of business the same way. So we decided to do programs together, and we're doing what nobody else out there in the world is actually doing right now. Right, the program we have right now, we're just doing beta, but it's turning into something that's going to be certifiable later on. And that's the thing with business. You either need to know it or pretend you know it. If you pretend you know it, you're not going to get anywhere. You need to actually know it, especially if you're going to be in a certificate program, if you're going to sit there and put yourself through that. If I'm going to be the one signing the script behind it, sitting there saying, okay, we did it, we're allowing you to have this certification. I need to make sure that you're at that part of that level. And the thing is, we're not strict, but we're very to the point that you need to understand the situation. So when you come through, it's not just teaching you or putting you on a placement. It's not just about, hey, you get on this podcast and do what you got to do. Hey, go do this, what you got to do. Here's your business. Here's your structure. Go do it. No, we walk you through it and we make sure you understand it clearly in order to be there. So basically, if I say, listen, I want you to go and get 5 clients by the end of the month, even if they're just a six-week program, even if they're $10 a month, I don't care. I want to see how you work that skill, right? The skill set, because there's a difference there. If you're working it right, you'll attract the right people. If you're doing your email list the proper way, you'll attract the right people. If you're like, I got an email list right now, I don't know, half a million people, I guess. Just a one alone was 7,500, and that was within a month. But I was attracting the right people, the right words, and like Tim Burt, a good buddy of mine, says, it's the message that you put out there that's going to receive you everything, because it's the wording that you use in that messaging. He's been doing CBS radio, made over $500 million in revenue sales on the stuff he does. He teaches people how to put on billboards, teaches people how to do the things, they advertise in the proper way. Now, are you actually putting the advertising out there to hurt you or to build you? But at the same time, I also hired another guy while doing all this stuff, was Bruce Urban at the time. He taught me how to be in the media the way I am now, right? But at the same time now, Lori A. McNeil, she's actually in the media 500 times a year, roughly, if not more. So her and I working side by side puts us both in the media now a lot more than I used to be, right? And instead of sitting behind the desk doing all the hard work now, she actually done business for 23 years, taught it in the undergraduate and the BA level in the universities. So it's really nice to be able to not have to do all the work and have someone say, don't worry, I'm there for you. You know what I mean? And they prove that to me. And that's really good feeling to have that integrity working beside you.
So you're the coach who has coaches, because because you believe that every coach has a coach. And
I got 3 coaches.
Yeah.
I got 3 coaches.
And so, Robert, what was the first of your first book that you wrote about your life?
My very, 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 very first one.
Well, not the one, the church band, but the second one.
Okay, well, there was More to Life was the first one. That was More to Life, the first one. My last name, More. More to Life.
More to
that
Life.
One there that I got banned. I actually took it off the internet and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So then the other one was My Journey Through Addiction to Salvation. And then it went to From Rock Bottom to Success, where I won the Author of the Year Award. That was another thing. I want to tell you a little simple something about that. I was trying for 11 years trying to get a pardon, because I wanted to fly around. I wanted to be able to travel. I wanted to get to the States and be able to speak in the States. I want to be able to help people out there all over the world. And I couldn't do it. Every time I went to go do it, they would say, oh, you got to do this, you got to do that. And it was the simplest, stupidest thing, too. So I do it. And I thought, well, maybe they're just doing this to, cause me problems. Finally, I went to someone and I said, look, I'm going to have to pay you, man. I've been trying for 11 years. No, 10 years at that time. 10 years at that time. And I'm not getting nowhere. It's driving me nuts. So they said, let us do it. We do that for a living. Right? I said, I didn't know that. They were just a personal friend of mine. I didn't know what they did. I just, sometimes back then when you're growing and through that, new stages, you don't really get to organically meet the people properly. Today it's all organic, but I mean, I didn't really know what organic meant back there. I knew it was one-sided. That was it. Right? Mm-hmm. That was how I started because I was, growing up the way I was growing up. So then I let her do it. She actually worked for John Howard, another one, John Howard. No problem. She went through it, and they sent me back once. Oh, you need to do this, do this, do this. So I drove the hour and a half back to her office, and I said, here's what it's saying. She goes, okay, that's no problem. We'll just do this, and we'll sign that part off, and it'll be done. She goes, I don't see why you can't get it this time. So then I got a phone call sitting there saying that I'm invited to London, England. I said, well, sure, I like to go to London, England. What's this all about? You won the Author of the Year award. Woo! I said, well, that's a big deal. I said, this is pretty good. So I thought to myself, well, how's this going to happen? I can't get on a flight. I had my passport already. I don't know how I got that. It's just kind of coincidence how I got it. And I said to him, I said, look, you know what? Whatever happens. I said, I'll be there 100%. She goes, okay. And I didn't explain my situation, nothing to them. So the next day I went to the travel agency. Book me the flight. Let's do it. Here's what we're going to pay, the $1,600, whatever it was, there and back. Here's the dates, and let's pay for the hotel while I'm there. I said I'd pay for one shot deal. It was like $4,000 or $5,000 altogether. Now, here's the best part of this. I didn't want the insurance. They said, why don't you want the insurance? Because if you don't come back, you'll lose that money. I said, that'll be my stupidity. And then she goes, I don't understand. I said, it's no worries. Don't worry about it. It's all good. Right? I knew inside my heart.
Because you were sure.
What's that?
You were sure. You were sure it's going to happen.
I wanted to be confident. I wanted to use a law of attraction in my life and be sure it was going to 100% happen.
You just trusted.
2 weeks before I got on that plane, I'm going to tell you something. I got a letter on the back. Now, it wasn't even in my mailbox. It was at a wrong address somewhere, and someone put it on the back of my car, the windshield wiper in the back of my car, a brown envelope. Normally they would be like this big, but this one was a regular sized envelope. I said, what in the Sammy Davis Jr. is this? So I opened it up, and I fell to the ground. I almost fainted, saying that you were granted your full pardon. Woo! It was like, wow. Whew. I got a Queen's pardon, and it told me everything about it. The only thing they couldn't take off, I think, was a weapons charge. But I mean, that's because I had weapons on me at times. It's just, but they can't take that off. That's just a rule, which it doesn't bother me. So I ended up going on that flight, coming back, and it was really nice feeling to be able to achieve, something that overwhelming like that, and to be recognized for my rewards, my good behavior. So that was for Rock Bottom to Success. I actually won and started doing achievements from there, and it was really nice.
Oh, that's
now 40 books into it with 460 different co-authors, and a business structure that's actually gone very viral and all over the world, worldwide, and working with the right people, aligning myself with the right people. I'm very excited to move on to the next steps.
Oh, I'm so excited to see all the things you're going to accomplish, Robert. But I'm also excited because I'm accomplishing things right beside you. So
you are, yeah.
I'm growing as you're growing, and I want to thank you so much for taking me on this journey with you. for allowing me to host a podcast for the Magnetic Entrepreneur, which teaches me every day new things. And I get to meet wonderful people that have so many abilities, so much to offer to the world. Thank you so much. It's all because of you. So I thank you.
Well, you know what? You're so welcome. And at the same time, here's one thing I want to express to people out there, to the audience. Dela came to me after I watched her. I watched how she does things on her podcast. She finally got me on the podcast first time. And it's like, okay, well, not a problem. This looks pretty cool. I just had an opening come up for my podcast. I'm going to do mine. So I kind of asked her, I put a nudge in her ear about it first time. Then we let it go for a few weeks. And then, we discussed it again, and she would be openly honored to do it. But then a couple of weeks later, she goes, why me? Why me? Like, why am I in this position? Why'd you choose me? You know what? It's just God sitting there saying that this is the person. I mean, I watched your behavior. I watched how you deal with things. I watched how you talk to people. I watched how you integrate and you joke around, and you don't just say, okay, we got to go, man. Hurry up. You say, do you think there's anything else? Just jokingly, you say it in a good way. And your monotone is perfect for the job, right? And that's why I'm glad working with you and coaching you at the same time. It's an honor to actually be a part of this with you. And you know what? To believe in yourself, and that's what you're starting to do, is to start believing in yourself is actually a truly honor. So anybody out there, when it comes to Dela's voice, I actually endorse it.
Wow. Did you hear that, everybody?
Yeah, hear that?
Get on Dela's voice.
Yeah, Dela's voice, I endorse. I highly recommend it. Now, I'm going to be honest with you guys. There's a tiny little fee, but it helps out with things. And I'm the one that's going to say it because I had to pay it myself.
Thank you. Oh, dear. Thank you.
He wouldn't tell you that. I have to.
Robert, you bring joy into this growth journey as I get to experience all these different things that I've never experienced before, and so it allows me to grow. And it's a good thing. It's a good thing. I'm so glad, and I'm so grateful for having met you. It's like you said, when you're open, when your heart is in the right place, God puts the right people in your path, and you just have to trust, and you have to have faith. And thank you so much for sharing.
I got faith. I married her.
You got faith. You married her. Did you say?
I married her.
Yes, your beautiful wife's name is Faith. So okay. My gosh, we've been talking for over an hour, so we had to let these people go. But I would like for you to leave everybody with a few words of encouragement, something that you want them to remember this interview by.
It's not even a matter of what they want to learn by this interview. It's a matter of what they want to learn by themselves. It's not a matter of me being selfishness. I want to sit there and express the fact of whatever you're thinking you could do on the vision board, it can come happen. It'll happen. There's one set of rule that I use to tell people to make it happen, just like I did it. You actually use it's called the 18-inch rule. Put your dreams from your head to your heart, 18 inches. You put it from your head to your heart, you put those emotions behind it. See, when you have emotion behind something, you're geared to make it happen. If you don't have that emotional attachment to it, you're not going to make it happen. It's like money. If I told you to pay $1,500 right now to me, well, you're going to invest that $1,500 in working your butt off to make it happen. All right. But if I give it to you free, well, who cares? Right? It's like loaning someone else's car. You want to borrow someone's car. Are you going to treat it the way you did with yours at $30,000? Or are you going to treat it the way you don't care? That's the problem in life. We treat things we don't care. So start looking at the fact of putting emotion behind it. Make your dreams come true. Put a vision board together. Check out Jack Canfield's stuff. Check out my stuff. Get a hold of me if you want to be an international bestseller. I mean, it's easy. Magnetic Entrepreneur. You can't miss me. on Facebook. Robert J. Moore on Facebook. Dela here you can get a hold of. She actually is well connected with my podcasting system. And when you become someone like a co-author, you become an international bestseller, I get deals all over the time. And you know what? Today's Happy Canada Day. Happy Canada Day to all those people out there. And 4th of July is coming up for the other people. So I want to say, happy 4th of July coming up for them too in the States and that. But at the same time, I just got an idea. So you watch my Facebook and I'm going to post something. Different prices going down to a new price.
I want to also wish everybody Happy Canada Day. This is awesome. Some other people who've joined that you actually know, Medea is watching.
Very nice, yeah.
Caroline is watching. Henrik is watching. Thank you so much, everyone who's been watching. Thank you for giving us your time today. If you find something in this interview touched you, please share it with your friends, with whomever you think would benefit from this talk. And take what you want and leave the rest. And Robert, thank you so much for being here. Thank you.
No worries. It's actually quite a pleasure. It's actually relaxing. Good.
It's very, very nice. It's always great to talk to you. Thank you again. I will be seeing you again on Dela's Voice. And for everyone else who's been watching, I'm grateful for your support. Please keep coming back. And don't forget those likes and comments because they let me know that I'm doing a good job for you. Thank you. Okay, everybody. I want to wish you a great day. And as always, this is Dela, hoping to spark your soul. Thank you, Robert.
No worries. Thank you.